Crime spiking. A new poll in San Francisco shows that 40% of its residents plan to leave the city due to the quality of life issues. Crime, homelessness, affordability. Meantime, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio defending his refusal to hire more police officers. Joining me now, former NYPD commissioner and former FDNY commissioner, Howard Safir. Commissioner, great to see you. Howard, always a pleasure. What do you make of the lack of initiative, motivation, or even concern from a Bill de Blasio about the spike in crime rates? It's not just shootings and murder. Rape is going up. Sex crimes are going up. Grand theft auto going up. It's really across the board here in New York and other places.
Well, you know, de Blasio has been anti-police from the day he became mayor. And basically, he has reduced the size of the NYPD. He's defunding them $1 billion this year, and it's just a symptom of what's happening across this country. We're in a national crisis, and the crisis is being perpetrated by blue cities run by Democratic mayors, where you're seeing things like 86% increase in shootings in Baltimore, 68% increase in New York City, the same in San Francisco and Los Angeles. And, you know, shootings are a real indicator because, to me, a shooting is a homicide with bad aim. So, you know, basically what's happening is we are ceding our cities to groups like Black Lives Matter and Antifa and letting them loot and riot and destroy primarily businesses owned by people of color. It's a disgrace, and we have to do something about it.
But how bad does it have to get before they do something about it? You look at where the number of murders were in New York in, say, 1990. Do we have to wait for it to be, I think it was over 2,000 murders?
It was 2,500 in 1990, and we're headed right back to the bad old days unless we do something about refunding police and, more importantly, not only providing additional police, but dealing with some of these crazy laws that have been passed. You know, the fact that there is no more cash bail in very, very violent crimes in New York, which lets perpetrators get it back out on the street. And we see things like what happened in Times Square last week. A Marine on vacation shot in the back. Yesterday, a woman walking down the street in Brooklyn in broad daylight attacked and sexually assaulted. What we're doing is we're sending messages to criminals that you're not responsible for your crimes and we're not going to prosecute you. And that's a terrible thing. You know, the only people who should be afraid of police are criminals, and what we're doing now is emboldening them and telling them they can commit crimes without accountability.
And we're, Howard, as you were talking, we were showing that footage of that woman in Brooklyn being tackled and assaulted in broad daylight. I want to bring Mark Tepper in here. One of Mark's relatives is a police officer. And Mark, it's not just, it's the demonization also that's having the same effect as defunding. You had police resignations up 45% last year, and the men and women on the job feel like that they aren't supported by these left-wing leaders.
There's definitely demonization. Yes, you've seen resignations, but also if you're a young adult, would you rather become a police officer at this point or a firefighter, right? I mean, it's very, very difficult to actually attract people into that career now. You know, defunding the police is about the worst idea in the world. I think it makes more sense to allocate more dollars towards them, and you're seeing crime spike, right? And not only are these police officers being demonized, but they're also victims themselves. So, you know, I've heard this firsthand from my brother-in-law. There are instances where there are civilians baiting cops into their homes on these, you know, so-called domestic violence calls. And then they've got their cell phones out recording the entire incident, trying to get the cops to make a mistake so they can get paid. It's ridiculous.
Howard,
it's ridiculous.
I've seen police officers in the street being baited by people on purpose. And Howard, you talk about ending cash bail. That is a policy, bail reform, ending cash bail, that both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris ran on. Final word to you, Howard.
Well, the fact is we have a president who has declared that police are systematic racists. We have a vice president who believes that police should be defunded. We have to change this, and hopefully in the next election, we're going to put people in positions of power that are going to return us to normalcy. when you look at homelessness, like homelessness in San Francisco, the signal that sends is you can do anything you want on the streets of our major cities without any accountability. We need to change that, and we need to do it very quickly, or we're going to be a city and a nation of anarchy.
Howard, thank you so much for being here. Howard Safir, have a wonderful weekend. We'll be right back.
You too.